Well, good afternoon, my wonderful people of Healthy Lifestyle with Lori Anne. I am Lori Anne Casdia, and our goal here at Healthy Lifestyle is to inspire, educate, and empower you to fulfill a healthy, emotional, spiritual, and physical life so you can feel empowered to live the life you have always wanted and dreamed. How are you today? It's beautiful, beautiful. I love, love, love being here, as you know, and love hearing from you. So please continue to send your emails, texts, carrier pigeons. We will do our best to answer you, and also really appreciate your suggestions. We've had a lot of great guests on because of your requests. So thank you so much. Hello, Facebook Live. So today I'm excited because we have Rhea Manjrekar. Hopefully I didn't mangle your name. Welcome to the show. She is a senior at Stony Brook University studying computer engineering in the Women in Science and Engineering Honors Program. She hopes to pursue a career in healthcare IT once she graduates. Well, she started a nonprofit organization, and this is what actually came to my attention. And they help homeless and underprivileged children in New York and in India. And at Stony Brook University, she is on the executive board of a service learning organization called Alternative Spring Break Outreach. Besides their annual week-long spring break outreach trips where they travel across the country and work with local organizations to do relief work, they also have local volunteering trips throughout the year. So she's a very, very busy young lady. And through this, she helps students build leadership skills and understand economic disparity. So she also recently won the title of Royal International Miss. And by the way, she is wearing her royal sash today on Facebook Live, and it's absolutely beautiful, and she's absolutely beautiful. So if you're listening on the radio, you need to go to the Facebook Live on Healthy Lifestyle with LA, because you will see how gorgeous inside and out this young lady is. And she plans on using her platform to promote her service work, the gender gap in STEM, which we'll talk about, and women empowerment. Welcome to the show, Rhea.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so glad you're here. So I was introduced to you through my Rotary Club, and you came on and just blew me off my shoes.
Thank you.
So articulate. But then what really caught me off guard, and it shouldn't have, but it did, you are a computer engineer.
Yeah, that definitely, I think when I tell people that, the initial reaction is always a surprise, because it's not the most conventional career for women, I think, in general, and especially minority women. So when I tell people that,
and most importantly, gorgeous women like you, you're beautiful.
Thank you. But yeah, that usually takes people a little bit off guard. So,
yeah, and what does STEM represent? Science,
technology, engineering, and mathematics. Yeah, so it falls into that category.
And that's a great program that Stony Brook University offers. I know a lot of the high schools in the area, they participate in competition for STEM.
Right.
We have some companies like H2M Architects and Engineers that absolutely support STEM and have a program there elevating, because obviously they utilize a lot of engineers.
Right.
But your area of expertise is computer IT.
Correct. So the difference between, what computer engineering really is, and I think that engineering as a term, a lot of people don't really know what it means. I know, for example, when I chose engineering because I've always loved math. Math has always been a huge passion of mine. So when I was, a senior in high school looking to see what I wanted to major in, I thought, okay, I liked math, so I'm going to become a math teacher, because what else can you do with math? So my mom said to look into engineering, and I was like, I don't even know what that is. And I think that that's the issue. I thought an engineer was either like, a guy just in his basement, on his computer,
or NASA.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or a guy on a train. I thought that was what an engineer did.
True. Yeah.
And I did some research, and I found computer engineering, which basically combines the software part, so programming, and the hardware part, which is actually, the pieces that go into building a computer and the electrical part of it almost.
Sure.
So
the
computer
IC
engineering,
boards and
yes,
like
exactly.
Yep.
So computer engineering, you get to learn how to program and code in various different languages, and then you get to build the hardware, and then you get to write the code that programs the hardware to do things, which I think is so cool. And that's why I'm studying it, and I'm so excited to pursue a career in it.
And you're a senior, as I said,
yes.
at Stony Brook University,
yes.
pursuing it. So
correct.
It's so exciting, and you're so diverse, where you're very technical, you're very engineering, but you really represent women, strength, powerful intellect, and it's just a beautiful, wonderful package. And you're very articulate,
Thank you.
which is wonderful. Probably has something to do with the fact that you're wearing a sash right now, which we'll get into in a second. So help us understand what it's like being a female in computer engineering. I know you're not 50% or more of the population in this industry. So what does that feel like? What does that look like at the university and out in working world?
Right. So it's interesting because, women make up half of the population, but for some more. Yeah. I think it's like 51 or 52% or something like that.
53% now.
53. There we go.
And climbing, apparently.
Yeah. And it's interesting that in this field of engineering where, engineers' goals are to build things for people, that I think it's about 11% of all engineers are female. And that to me is absolutely mind blowing. And it's not something that I realized until I took my first intro to computer programming class in high school, which I took my junior year of high school. And I was one of 2 girls in the entire class. And I walked in, and it was funny because I walked in, the teacher said, "Are you in the right room?" Because it was just filled with boys, and I was, this girl, and I like to, wear my dresses and my skirts. I'm not a tomboy at all. I'm a very girly girl. So I walked in, she said, "Are you in the wrong room?" And I said, "I don't think so. Is this, computer programming class?" And she said, "Yeah, it is." And, I was one of the 2 girls in the class. So that was the first time I really saw the gender gap that exists in the field. Yeah. But in high school, I actually had a very positive experience. I never felt like I was the only girl. I never, felt left out. Everyone was always welcoming. And I think the first time I really experienced any kind of adversity in the field was more so in college, where it's, now you have lectures of 100 and 200 kids. And now I'm still one of maybe 5 girls in the entire lecture. And in college, when it's such a much bigger setting, it's not a small classroom, that can be very, very intimidating.
Sure.
So I've had definitely, most of my male friends are they treat me completely equally, but I've had a couple of negative experiences, which I'm kind of, in hindsight, glad that I experienced it now in college, because then in the workplace, I know how to handle these situations where, they'll tell you, "Oh, you just write the reports and I'll do the technical stuff."
Yeah.
Or they will think that everything you do is wrong, and they'll do the same thing, but they'll think it's right. And I've experienced that quite a few times. And, it's kind of, you're taken aback at first because you're like, I did the same thing you did, but just because I'm a girl, you think I'm doing it wrong.
Well, yeah, but the value in contrast, the universe gave you contrast to make you stronger so that you can go out there and be the voice. Because that's what you're intended to do. So contrast is a good thing.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
We wish it wouldn't exist, and there shouldn't be any disparity. It's just people in the room learning different things.
Exactly.
And I think that goes across, and that's a message that we've been trying to get across since all this has happened in the last few months.
Right.
And at the end of the day, we have good people and we have not so good people.
Exactly.
And it's important to realize that and recognize it. And that's not to take away from the fact of our femininity and our abilities to do certain things.
You can wear pink and sparkles and dresses, and you can still, be a nerd and love engineering and like building things and be excited to get, down and dirty and, really get in there and build things. And that's okay.
Yeah, it is okay. And we need to really change the mindset that this is for a girl. I used to call it a blue job and a pink job.
Right.
There's some blue jobs and there's some pink jobs. There's no such thing anymore.
Exactly.
And nor should there be. If you want to do it, there's some things that the blue jobs are that I would never, ever, ever want to do. I have no interest in it, but that doesn't make it wrong if some other female wants to do it. I think it's great. It's empowering.
And I think we just have to kind of change this stereotype that exists. Like when you picture an engineer, why does everyone think of a man, a nerdy man? So my goal being in this field is not only, because I love it, but I also want to change that stereotype and what an engineer really stands for and means.
I love that. And now your new title of Royal International Miss 2020, correct. How does that tie into what you're trying to do?
Right. So,
and by the way, it does have sparkle on it.
It does.
As does my shirt today.
We're both very sparkly
Got
right now.
Sparkly thing going on today.
Yeah.
Michael, you didn't get the email apparently.
Next time.
Next time. Actually, I'd like to see that, Michael. Will you put something sparkly on?
Sure, but today I just went with the Captain America shirt.
Yes. Fair enough. That's a good message too. I like it.
Yeah,
Exactly, especially now.
There you go. So go ahead about the how does it connect with what your mission is?
Right. So being Royal International Miss 2020 and just being a pageant title holder in general, it's all about, empowering women. And women empowerment means different things for different people. But for me, it really is making sure that any girl who wants to do anything should not be afraid of what people will think or be afraid of facing adversity, and instead just say that I want to do this, so I'm going to do it regardless of what other people think or what society thinks. And as being Royal International Miss, I hope to encourage girls to pursue whatever career that they want to pursue just because they love it.
So I have a question here, and it's funny because it was going to be my question too, but I have a question here that asks, how do you I think the word is substantiate. I'm not sure because it's not spelled right. How do you substantiate the fact that you are in a pageant which has so many stereotypes, versus what your mission is? And that's a really good question, Roy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so there definitely is a stereotype that exists with pageant girls, and I think that stereotype includes the fact that they're not smart and they can't speak well. They're just a pretty face with a crown and a sash on. And also there's a stereotype that pageant girls are mean. And I'm not going to lie, when I first joined pageants, I had that stereotype too, but I'm so glad that I got to do it. And it's kind of, opportunities like this, and interviews, and, being able to talk to as many people as possible. I think that is how I substantiate being a pageant girl and breaking that stereotype and showing that you can do pageants, but that doesn't mean that you're just a pretty face. You can be smart. You can have goals. I do this so I have a platform to share my nonprofit organization. So I have a platform to share what I want to do in the future to inspire other girls to do the same. Just because a girl loves math, I don't want her to think that, just being a teacher is the only thing that she can do. She can be an engineer. There's different types of engineers. So I think having this platform and opportunities like this that you gave me helped me really speak about and break the stereotype that exists in pageantry.
Do you think back in high school that our guidance counselors kind of put us in these little pigeonhole boxes? I know when I went to school, that's what they did. There were very few options, none of which I liked, so I didn't go down that path.
Right.
But because I went for business administration and economics, and I thought my guidance counselor's head was going to explode. And she said, based on the testing and stuff like that, you can't go into economics. And I was like, listen, I don't enjoy math, but I do love the science behind economics.
Right.
So to me, that was really interesting. But oh my gosh, she guided me into like sewing or being a seamstress. And I was like, wait, what?
Interesting.
Yeah. And I was like, no.
So that's something to do with anything.
Nothing to do with it. So do you think that that's some of the platforming that goes on, and no offense to guidance counselors, they're doing the best they can, but there's also guidelines. And to me, especially on the show, people hear me say this all the time, be who you want to be. And to your point, don't worry about what anybody else thinks. Matter of fact, as I learned later in my years, it's none of my business what anybody else thinks. It's only mine.
Correct.
So that's a really good piece of information that you could spread to people. It's very empowering. It's a lot stronger than saying, oh, I don't care what they think. I don't care what they think.
It
sounds very defensive.
It's also easier said than done. You can say, oh, I don't care, but deep down, you do, because I think as humans, we live off of other people's opinions sometimes.
Well, we're grown to do that.
Yeah.
When we're little, we don't do that, but we're taught to do that in the system that we're brought up in. So a statement like, it's none of my business what anybody else thinks is empowering, don't you
Correct.
think?
I completely agree with you.
Yeah, it was very empowering.
I love that.
When I heard that, I'm like, oh, it was just like a huge aha moment. I was like, I love that statement.
And I also think sometimes no matter what you do, you just can't please people. People will come up with any reason to think that what you're doing is wrong. So it's stop trying to please others and just focus on what makes you happy.
Yeah, and a lot of times when other people are doing it, in a lot of cases, families and friends, it's well intended, but it's really their fears.
Exactly.
It's really them holding themselves back and projecting on you their fears. And if you truly believe in it, I am a true believer, as you all know, if you've been following Healthy Lifestyle with Lori Anne, I am a true believer that universe puts it in your path for a reason. So that contrast that you felt, luckily it wasn't a lot. You got the message really quick, because I will promise you, universe, if you will come back a lot harder and harsher every single time until you learn that lesson.
Correct.
Because it's an important lesson to learn for you to proceed on the journey you're supposed to be going on in your life. So yay, you learned early. I've learned that I need to learn quickly because I don't like the process when universe punches me in the face.
A million times.
A million times. times. Yeah. She definitely gets cranky when you're not listening. So pay attention to the signs.
I like that
you
advice.
And you did. That's a really good thing. Now, I don't want to get into your charity yet. I want to save that for the second part of the show because it's a great charity, and we don't have a lot of minutes left in the first segment. Believe it or not, we've gone through so much. But I do want to talk to you about your why. Why do you do what you do? I know you do it so well, and you do it with a beautiful smile on your face. Why do you do what you do? Yeah,
so it's interesting because I actually never wanted to do pageants. My mom actually forced me to do my first one. And the reason I didn't want to do it was because of the stereotype that I thought existed. So when I was like 15, she said, "Oh, Miss Teen India, New York, like this could be good for your college application. Like just do it. Doesn't matter. Like we can write it on your college application." So I said, okay, fine, like I'll do it. And I had about a week to prepare, and I actually ended up placing first runner up in that pageant. And I, to this day, still talk to all of the girls I competed with because they're all future doctors, lawyers, engineers, business girls, and they all had such great ambitions, and we still keep in touch to this day. And ever since then, the amount of self-confidence that I've gotten, the number of girls I've inspired, because, I'm not a conventional looking pageant girl either. So girls I've inspired to join pageantry, the self-confidence I've gained.
What does that mean? What does that mean? You're not a conventional pageant look.
So I think that especially,
Barbie blonde.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think skinny, white, blonde, skinny, the blue eyes. A lot of girls that do pageants, they dye their hair and they get their spray tans and everything because they want to look a certain way. But I don't do any of that. I am the way that I am.
Yeah, why would you?
Yeah, and I think that the fact that I won such a big title, that makes a statement, is that you can just be yourself, be completely natural.
Yes.
And you can win just by the way that you speak and the way that you carry yourself and the confidence that you exude. So I think that my why is kind of being that, like that role model and inspiring others, and the networking I've gained and the platform I have now. It's just been such a positive experience for me, and I hope that I can inspire girls to do this so they can have that same positive experience that I had.
So you really want to pay it forward.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. I think I want a mentor, and I want everyone else. I want other girls to go through what I did, because when I was 15, I had very low self-confidence. I had so much trouble making friends. I didn't believe in myself at all. And now, 5-6 years later, I can't even imagine feeling that way anymore, because I think pageantry helped me figure out who I am, what I stand for, and what makes Rhea Rhea.
Yeah. And I can't even imagine you like that, because you're so vivacious and articulate, as I've mentioned.
I was not like this when I was 15, 16 years old.
Yeah, so. I don't know a lot of 15, 16-year-olds that are, but you just came into who you are. And I love the messaging that you're sending to be yourself. It's so important. Everybody else is taken. There's a reason for that. So you got to be you.
And I think
that's where you're going to fit in. Believe it or not, by being you, whatever that means. It could be crazy, weird, quirky, but by being you, it just, you set that presence in the world that nobody else can be.
It's so fun to just be unique and be yourself. Yeah. And I think that my difference is the fact that I'm not conventional. That's what helped me win, is because I'm an engineer. I'm a minority. I'm Indian American. I just not
you're
necessarily
beautiful. You're
Thank
smart.
You.
You're intelligent. I think some of that might help too. Just saying.
Thank you. Saying, but I think it's my differences that make me stand out, and I wouldn't change that for anything.
Yeah. It's differences that's exciting. I love meeting new people because of the differences, and I can learn from them, and all that you can teach, and that you're in, computer IT and wanting to go do that for a living. That's just totally amazing to me. And I suspect you'll be doing more than that. So,
thank you.
I usually have these conversations about the fact that you, in quarantine, you didn't just sit by and sit down. Mm-mm. You really took the ball and you ran with it. And let's just give a little hint of what we're going to talk about in our second half is, what did you do during quarantine?
Right. So a lot of my in-person volunteering opportunities got canceled, and I was so upset about that. And I was sitting at home and watching the news and seeing, these healthcare workers literally risking their lives while I'm sitting on my couch doing absolutely nothing. And it broke my heart, and I just felt so helpless, and I had all this free time all of a sudden. So I actually think that I was busier during quarantine than I was not during quarantine, which is kind of crazy. But I decided to raise money, and I made little bags with emergency green tea bags, a surgical mask, and a couple of snacks, as well as handwritten thank you cards. And I went and distributed those to various hospitals and frontline workers to kind of brighten their day. And it turns out that it did, because another fun fact, that happened during the pandemic is a lot of the vending machines in hospitals were completely empty because of the long hours that these workers were working. So little things like snack packs and, packs of emergency and things like that really made their day and helped them get through the long hours that they have to work.
That's wonderful. Unbelievable.
Thank you.
See, it's great work like that. And what gave you the inspiration to do that?
I hated the idea that these workers, healthcare workers were really just risking their lives and working so hard, and these people were dying. And I said, there has to be something I can do from home, being safe, obviously being at home and trying to give back as much as I can.
I love that. You are listening to Healthy Lifestyle with Lori Anne. We are here with Rhea, who is a superstar, and we're going to come back and talk more about her non-for-profit after this short break. Stay with us. Well, welcome back to Healthy Lifestyle with Lori Anne. I am Lori Anne. If you have any questions or comments or ideas on topics, guests, or anything at all you want to chat with us about, we love hearing from you. So please email us at healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com and follow us on social media at Healthy Lifestyle with LA. Love it, love it, love it. So we are having this great conversation today with Rhea Manjrekar, and she is just outstanding young woman who has done a lot of things. She is pursuing computer engineering at Stony Brook University in your senior year, right?
Yes.
And also has this beautiful title called of Royal International Miss 2020 with this beautiful sash. Did you get a tiara?
I
with
have
that
a massive crown that's probably this big.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was going to bring it, but it's very, very heavy. And I usually just wear my sash to appearances. But yes, we got a massive, very sparkly, very beautiful crown.
Oh my gosh. Do you wear it all over the house?
When I first won, that first week, I would not take it off. I was I never want to take it off, but you get a headache after a while, so I only wear it when I have to now.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I want one. So I can't believe this fun fact. You're a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo?
Yes, it is that's my little fun fact that I usually give to people when they're tell me something that no one really knows about you, and that's usually the fun fact that I give.
And why did you get involved with that? That is a fun fact, and I'll be very nice. I'll be very, very nice to you, just because you'll be able to kick my butt.
So I actually started doing Taekwondo, which is the art of self-defense, when I was 5 years old. So my mom actually made me start it. So she was like, do this, it'll be good for you. And I was actually one of, again, 2 girls in the class because, martial arts isn't, again, a female thing that, young girls do.
Yeah.
And I think my mom just thought it was a good idea for me to learn self-defense at a young age. And I think that that's something that all women should know how to do is self-defense. So I started when I was 5, and I got my first degree black belt when I was 10 and my second degree black belt when I was 12.
Wow.
So it was a long journey and probably one of the toughest journeys that I've really ever experienced, because there were a lot of times I wanted to give up. It's a very, very grueling journey.
Sure.
Especially the black belt test is hours long.
It's a lot of discipline.
A lot of discipline, and multiple times a week. And, I had school and my honors classes and whatnot. So it was difficult, but I pushed through and it was 100% worth it. So I'm so glad I didn't give up, because I think a lot of people just kind of give up halfway, but I'm glad that my mom really pushed me to finish that and then get my second degree black belt, which is another added bonus. So
that's amazing. I have fun fact for you. Guess who in the studio has a black belt?
Him?
Yeah,
really?
Our very own Michael.
Oh wow! In what martial art?
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh wow, that's more like sparring type, right?
Yeah, it's sparring, grappling, things like that. It's a lot.
Oh wow,
that is amazing!
That's so awesome. Look at that.
Yeah, we got 2 black belts here. I'm very safe today, folks.
You are
in our studio.
You too.
So yeah,
who needs security guards?
Exactly. I got both of you. This is you'll dazzle them with your sparkling and your action. So and then Michael will just dazzle them and your activity. So what's the difference between these 2 fields, the 2 disciplines?
Well, I know that Taekwondo is the art of self-defense. So you're not supposed to use it to attack anyone. You're only supposed to use it if someone attacks you and you're defending yourself. So that's what Taekwondo is.
Yeah, it's more or less a lot of these martial artist groups are the same thing. They preach the same thing. The first thing I was told when I first started karate was we're going to learn a lot of things, and we hope that you never have to use what you learn.
Yep. I was told the exact same thing when I was young.
Yeah, but you learn them in case you do have to use them.
Yeah, I like it because I'm all about mindset. I'm a master mindset mentor, and I'm all about mindset, and martial arts is very, very mindset oriented. And do either one of these arts, do they encourage meditation?
Mine does, yeah.
Yeah, mine does a bit too. It's just very oriented around, like she said, just grappling, and it's a lot of different things. Each day we did something different. Like grappling was its own day. We just have a regular class on like Mondays and Wednesdays, things like that.
And my understanding too of the arts too is that, because I do yoga. You know, there's no grappling in yoga. So I like that. But my understanding too is that because it's a mindset, it really is similar to yoga and golf and other arts and sports, because it's really about you and execution.
Exactly. And I think that all martial arts, I'm sure you can agree with me, it's like 80% mental and 20% physical.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel the same way, but I completely think it's like you have to really focus and like believe that you can do it, and then like a very small percentage is how strong you are and how big you are and how fit you are. I think it's really, really mental.
No, it really is. Like, especially when I went for my black belt test many years ago. The black belt test is very, very intense, and if you do not have the mindset to get through it, you're probably not getting through it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mentally prepped for like weeks beforehand, and I was just, so in the zone, and I think like I was able to beat some of the, like, when we were sparring and stuff, beat some of the guys who were bigger than me just because they were stronger, definitely, but I just had that like mindset of I'm going to do this, like I can do it, and just being so focused.
Yes, and I love that because that is applicable in life and business.
Yes.
If you are focused, if you go after it and you go with that intensity and you believe in yourself, it will happen. It will happen. I will say it a million times. It will happen. I have watched people do it over and over again. They have to get over those what we call gremlins in their head, saying I can, I'm too shy. That's not something I could. And you be amazed at how someone grows. And then once you achieve that, you're so proud of yourself that your self-esteem element, it elevates so high. And I had that experience. I think I spoke about it, right, Michael, last week with riding a motorcycle. Once I did it, and I got through a couple of things, I just felt so empowered and so good. It was just a self thing. It was all internal, but it was, me really showing up for me, and you guys showed up for yourself. I understand the black belt process, and it is rigorous and grueling, to say the least.
Yes.
Yeah, there were plenty of times where, the sensei would show a move that you have to do, like grapple them to the ground and put them in a chokehold, and you're just like, how the hell am I supposed to do that?
And the guy is 6'7",
Exactly. And because I've always been on the shorter side, whenever I have a taller opponent, of course, it would knock the self-confidence down a bit. So you're just like, how am I going to do this?
You use that to your advantage. Like, you use the fact that you're a little bit smaller, you can kind of like move a little quicker.
100%. When you're sparring, that's a really good thing, because they may have the reach and the height, but you just go low, like say, to the gut, and it's just you could use it to your advantage for sure.
I was a scrawny like 10-year-old in my black belt test, and I remember I had to spar against someone who was at least a foot taller than me and much bigger, and I did it because I use that, you kind of use that to your advantage. And I think that just shows how mental it is. You have to think, okay, like, what are my strengths, and really just hone in on that. Don't think about the fact that they're bigger. Think about what you're good at and what you have against them.
Yes, absolutely. So you don't think of the cons, you think of the positives.
Exactly.
And that's your strategy. What a great strategy. That's mindset, peeps.
Yes.
That is mindset. That's all about, just not taking no.
Right.
No is not an option. And I love that. I'm so proud of both of you. I'm like, feel honored that I'm in both of your presence. And again, we'll be very nice to both of you. Not that I wouldn't be, but okay. So now back to you and all your not-for-profits and all the fundraising. You have Children's Hope India 3.
Correct.
Let's talk about that, because when I heard about this, I was just... It welled up inside of me how amazing you're doing with this, and your outreach, and just your continued humanitarianism, and what a good human you are for doing something like this. And then the other program that you have on Stony Brook University. But let's talk about your Children's Hope India 3 charity.
Right. So this was an organization that I started when I was a freshman in high school. So I must have been 15, 14 years old. And I knew that I wanted to make a difference, but I didn't know how. I didn't know how to go about it. And I was so young. I thought, what could a 14-year-old girl do that will actually make an impact in our community? So by chance, my pediatrician at the time is the president of Children's Hope India. So I talked to her about it. Her name is Dina Palajani. And there was already a second branch of Children's Hope India that exists called Children's Hope India too. And that was kind of comprised of, younger people in their 20s, 30s kind of. And so I thought, okay, what if I come up with a third chapter of Children's Hope India called Children's Hope India 3, except this chapter is made up of just kids, just teenagers. And our motto would be children helping children, because how powerful is that message? And we started it. We got approved. We're an approved 501c3 organization. And our goal was to help underprivileged children, not just in India, which is what Children's Hope India does, but also kids locally in New York and Long Island, because that's, where we live. So we were 6 girls from Long Island, and I remember our first goal was to raise $3,000 to send two homeless children to summer camp. And the reason we chose this as our first project is because something a lot of people don't know is that homeless shelters are actually closed during the day. And during the school year, it's not a problem because the kids are in school, but in the summer, they're out on the streets, and this can lead to behavior like drugs and gang violence and just, behavior that is so easy to get into when you're young, and something that we can fix by putting them in a summer camp where they not only are not out on the streets, but they'll have fun. They'll get to go to the pool and, build social skills and make friends and experience something they normally wouldn't have gotten to experience.
Structure and supervision.
Exactly. Yep. And that's so important at a young age, because kids are so easily influenced by others, and they give into peer pressure so easily. And, gang violence is a huge issue on Long Island as it is. So our first goal was to raise $3,000, and we did various restaurant fundraisers. We got all of our sports teams involved, when the teams that we were part of in our schools. We did walkathons, color runs, and really got our whole community involved. And that year, we actually ended up raising $12,000, which was 4 times our original goal.
Nice.
And it was crazy because even $3,000, I thought there's absolutely no way we're going to raise that much money. Like, how are we going to do that? And I think people really like the message of, kids helping kids, and, young high school students getting involved in community service at a young age. And I think that's why we were so successful in that first year. And it was awesome because going to school the next day after our fundraisers and seeing my friends and my schoolmates wearing the Children's Hope India 3 t-shirts and, hearing it on the PA announcements and stuff, it was really awesome. And we got our high schools involved. We got our families involved. We got our families in India involved and things like that. So we raised about, I want to say, $70,000 almost in the last couple of years. And every single penny has gone to helping homeless and underprivileged children, both here in New York and in India. And we also recently have chapters, not just in Long Island, but we have a New York City chapter and a New Jersey chapter. So we've already grown throughout the tri-state area. And one of my end goals is to make this a national thing.
That's just truly amazing. And how does that make you feel?
Just proud, because it's something that was just an idea, and it's almost like I feel like it's like my baby that's kind of grown. And what's awesome is when I graduated high school, I realized that my goal wasn't to just do this by myself, but to get other young high school students involved. So what the 6 original founding members, what we did is when we all graduated high school, we interviewed new incoming freshmen into high school to be the new board of Children's Hope India. And then once they graduated, they interviewed a whole new board, which we're currently in the process of doing right now. And that's so awesome because I think getting young kids involved at an early age in community service really builds their character. And, a lot of former Children's Hope India members are still doing service in their universities or in their careers, or they're doing, volunteer work and whatever jobs they're doing. So I want to keep getting more and more kids involved and kind of almost share the wealth and like this awesome experience that I had doing Children's Hope India.
That's a beautiful story. And you, as the founders, the 6 founders, help guide the new 6 people who come in as freshmen? So
what happened was the people who we inducted as like the new board, they had already been volunteering with us. Like they would come to our walkathons, they would come to our fundraisers. So they were already, kind of involved. And that's why we chose those new 6 people to be on the board. And then, they kind of keep an eye on like, okay, who's coming to the fundraisers, who really is involved. And we go through a whole interview process, and then they're the new board and they get to plan everything. So, currently as a founding member, I still attend all of the interviews and stuff. I go to all of the Children's Hope India fundraisers. I'm active on the social media. So I'm just as involved, but I've given the responsibility of planning everything to a whole new group of kids, because I think that it's important for them to learn those leadership skills and kind of almost learn on the job and figure it out as they go.
How many boards have you progressed through since the founders?
I think that this current new board that we're doing now is probably our third or fourth, I want to say. So then once they, in the next couple of years and they graduate, then they'll have a new board. So, and I love that. I love that we can affect, help, not only just help more kids, but inspire more kids to get involved in service.
That's such an amazing story. And now talk to me about, and this begs a question actually is, so clearly you're Indian, right?
Yes.
Your background is Indian. As a young Indian American girl, yes?
Yes.
What's the importance of your culture? Because I noticed you do hold up your culture.
Yes.
And I know that a very dear friend of mine, Flora, she is very cultural. Her whole family is.
Yes.
And I got to meet them and their family and learn about their culture. It's so cool. Needless to say, how gorgeous she looked at that at a recent event we were at together. It was a Rotary
installation. The clothing is one of my favorite parts.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful and very sparkly, by the way.
That's why I love it.
Yeah. So how does your culture help you and guide you, incentivize you, and affect you in America? Because you were born here, yeah?
Yes, I was born here.
And your mom and dad?
So my parents were born in India and they immigrated here, and then me and my brother were both born here.
So you're first generation Americans.
Yes.
Wow. So how does that affect you in your life?
Yeah. So what I love so much about the Indian culture is the values that we hold. Something that a lot of people don't know is India has a bunch of different states, just like America does, but every single state speaks a completely different language. They wear different clothes, different, food, and it's just a completely different culture in every single state. Yet India is one of the most unified countries ever. And I think that speaks volumes. The fact that there's so much diversity within, but they're still able to be so unified. And that's a huge value of the Indian culture that I think is so important, is that people in general, all of us, we're all so different, but I think it's so important for us to acknowledge our differences and empower each other and be unified.
What do you attribute that to? What do you attribute that success to?
I think the reason that India is so diverse but so unified is because they hold the same morals. They all value family. Family always comes first. They value education. They always push their children to pursue the highest level of education possible. And they always say education comes first. And, I think that those two things, like the importance we put on family and education, is what really unifies us. No matter what language you speak, no matter what you wear, or like even where in India you come from, these shared morals is what unifies them.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. That's very insightful. Because it always is amazing to me why people don't, because I just don't understand it.
Right.
And I've been trying to understand why people feel the way they do sometimes. And it's
difficult.
It's very difficult to understand if you don't come from that. And how do you articulate it appropriately? Because I wasn't brought up that way.
Right.
People are people. We have two sets of people, good people and bad people, or good people and not so good people.
Right.
There's your contrast.
Right.
And so I just don't understand the rest of it, because we all have value. We all have families. We all have, everything else is the same.
I think we also definitely value hard work. I think that we are not the type of people to, just like the way that, my family has been raised and, my grandparents and great grandparents, hard work is what gets you places. There's no shortcuts. There's no easy way out. It's
Correct.
just hard work and being super focused. And that ties in with the importance of, education. And that's something my parents have really drilled into me at such a young age, is the importance of that, the importance of family and school. And I think that kind of inspired me to, work so hard in everything that I do. I never do things halfway. I give it 110%, no matter what that is.
Yes.
So whether it's school, whether it's pageants, whether it's taekwondo and not giving up, my parents have always just pushed me to really, really just give 110% all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree with the hard work and having that focus and giving back. Again, we're here for two reasons. We're here to learn and we're here to serve others. And
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
I live by that.
Yeah. Yeah. As do I.
Yeah.
And in doing so, in service to others, we get outside of ourselves and then we be our best selves, because now we're able to help other people. And that's so very fulfilling.
And it gives you a new gratitude for your own life by
Yeah.
serving others. And it makes you just so much more grounded, and you just don't take things for granted. I never take things for granted anymore. Once you visit homeless shelters and stuff, I can't imagine coming home after school and just being appreciative for the fact that I have a roof over my head and that I have my own room and I come home to a hot meal every single day. And I learned that at a young age. And that's what I love so much about my nonprofit is it drills these values into young high school kids at a young age.
How does somebody get to you if they want more information about your not-for-profit?
So you can donate on our website, which is www.children'shopeindia.com/ch3. And we also have our Instagram, which is Children's Hope 3. And those are the main ways that you can donate and keep up with all of the work that we're doing or get involved if you would like to be a volunteer or know someone who would like to be a volunteer with us.
And if you wouldn't mind sending me that information, I'll make sure that it gets posted with all of our stuff and on our Facebook Live that we're on today. And that sounds great. In our last few minutes, it's actually the last few minutes, if you get to say anything to our listeners, which you do right now, what would it be?
I think it would definitely be just, and I know this sounds like super cliche, but just follow your passions, like whatever that you're passionate about, whatever obstacles that you face, whatever adversity you face. I've experienced all of that firsthand. Just push through and just focus on what makes you happy and what makes you feel like you are successful and, have your own definition of success. And that will be like the key to being happy, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And contrast, if you look at contrast, just find out what you're supposed to learn. And that's how you are unbelievably successful because moves you forward. Thank you again for being on today, Rhea. I really, really appreciate it. You've enlightened all of us and I really enjoyed this. I'd love to have you back, especially after you graduate and we can see where your next steps are. I want to thank you all for being here and listening. As always, my heart is lifted by sharing this time with you. I want to thank Michael, our producer, who's unbelievable and apparently a black belt. Dude, you're the best. And I want to leave you with something a little different. If you want to really transform your life, ask yourself 5 questions. What do I really want just for myself? What has to happen in order to create change? What steps of inspired action am I willing to take? How much pain will I experience if I don't change? And how can I be of service? Just ask yourself those questions. Remember every day to play a higher role, serve a higher purpose, show up for you. And until next time, show up big.